Hashem. Listen, I had a few chidushim, a few thoughts. Yeah, I had a couple of weeks ago. I tried to call you about yushka. It seems yushka. What was he up to? He said, did he say to keep the Torah?
As far as I know, he was not interested in breaking the Torah. I don't know, on a simple level, he thought that the Gula is going to come right away. We know people like that, like, they think the Gula is going to come in their lifetimes. And it seems that people were shakua a lot in Tivus. So he said, well, that's be table in the mikvah, and the tshuva. That's basically wants me to do tshuva to teach the Torah. So, but Lemaisa, I don't know if he would have gotten into trouble with the Romans if he just said that. Lemaisa, he came to Yerushalayim and he knocked down the tables that they were changing money. He was fanatical. He thought that such a thing is also by the Mikdash, which it is not. So he was like some type of machmir and fanatic.
Well, how did it come? According to where I saw someplace, that it wasn't a couple of weeks ago, because I could have, I had all the Makorot, but it seems that the Torah, first of all, I think it says in Matthew to keep the Torah. I think they quoted it there. I'm not a Bucky. I never even looked at it, the New Testament. But he said, and then afterwards they came by and said you don't need to keep the Torah. It's a public relations thing. They wanted people. It was too hard. That's the way I understand it. Am I correct?
There was machlokes between Yaakov, who was Yeshka's brother, and was Yerush, the position of head of that cut, and Paul. Yaakov said, we have to keep the Torah. Paul said, no, since the Maisi was crucified, and it's a kapara for all the sins, so what's important is that a person should believe in him. The mitzvahs are important.
What was Yaakov called in the New Testament? He had a name.
Jacob.
Oh, that's what they called him. Okay. And now somebody said like this. It seems, maybe it was Rabbi Miller, Mama had all one record for me, that he was a nice guy. Yushka, he helped the people, he liked the people, he talked softly, he was very nice to them, all the Poshim. But, this Rabbi Miller emphasizes, but he hated the Chachamim. He was Mama's vipers, whatever, I don't know all the Lashonot that he used, but he liked the people, but he hated the Chachamim.
Wow, the question was, since, let's say, his father was this Roman soldier, from the legion of the Panther, right? Yushka Pandera, right? The father was from the Roman legion of whose Samuel was the Panther. So the question is, can he get married or not? It wasn't. At that point, it seems it wasn't clear if boy is a Jewish girl and to give birth. Is he a Jew? Is he kosher? The halacha today is that he's a Jew and he's kosher. But at that time, it could be, even if she's a nation's ish, right? Because a God can't make a mamzer. According to our halacha, a God cannot make a mamzer. But it could be at that time it wasn't. But we seem to go on with many different opinions. So it could be that on the one hand he was machmir on himself, and he said, okay, since according to some opinions I'm not kosher, I'm not going to get married. On the other hand, unconsciously he was like very angry that these rabbis are causing him to live such a life as a bachelor. So it was was unconscious. The anger was unconscious. Like, Schneider also. You have an example in Schneider. Since he's angry at the yeshiva world because they hurt his father, and it comes certain things that the Schneider does is from an unconscious anger at the yeshiva world. So, I don't know how much I'll feel. Yes, he was unconsciously angry at the sages. No wonder he was a tzaddik. He was a couple of himself not to get married. He was some shash. But on the other hand, what are they doing to him? They're destroying his life.
Oh, and you're saying that he didn't like the sages. They didn't want to let him get married. They would Gory said he was a mamzer.
No, he couldn't have gotten married. But since it was a shaila, so, like we know, the Gemara says, the certain tzaddikim, if there's a question on the animal, even if passing that it's kosher, they won't eat it, right? So his self-image was that of a tzaddik. So he says, okay, I'm not going to get married. But really, he was very, very angry that this had happened to him. He's angry at his mother. He's angry at the world.
What do you see was angry at his mother?
It says that
you talk like I'm Bucky in the New Testament.
I don't know if I'm the biggest Bucky. I don't know if I've read every single sentence in the New Testament, but I've read it. It says he was making a farbrengen with his hippie friends, and his brother came.
Again, which friends?
I called them hippie. With his chassidim.
Oh, yeah, okay, hippies. Okay.
And members of his family came, and he said, I'm not interested. According to this city, that his mother had let herself be raped by this Roman soldier. Yodavot, Bishkavot. She blamed his mother. Why did she do this to him? Why couldn't she wait? She was a Rusa to Yosef. Wait. Be with Yosef and have a kosher child. Why did you do this to me?
That's you're imagining this. If it says anything like this, this is your theory. You have Makorot, so this is your theory.
There are about 1 million books that were written about yushka. Books about him are more than books about Abraham Lincoln. There's 1 million theories going around. I'm just telling you one way of understanding it. He had a cruel fate. Somehow, if you would have come to somebody like Rabbi Nachman, maybe Rabbi Nachman could have get him to become the din ba'ava. I think one of the main things of Rabbi Nachman is he wants the person to accept his life with a real sweet smile, not with a sour smile. To really, really, each person should really, really accept his story and say, maybe this is just the way it has to be. And the Ramban talks about this by Eov, right? That Gilgulim, it's the story of Gilgulim, and I met over here a person called Yosef Abadi, and he 2 feet are cut off. And he started saying, Gilgulim, yeah. Somehow if you believe in Gilgulim and you become the emes, the Ahava, so then you can live a good life no matter what happens. Like they put you on a train to Auschwitz, okay? You smile and say, okay, goes on and go. Oh, no, yeah. Yisroel. He said he had no complaints against Hashem, even though he lost a wife and maybe 9 children. He had no complaints? Yes, sir. What are you saying?
Now, somebody wants to say like this, that first of all, let's change the Rav Kook a little bit. And this, you have to come on to my family to know these details. Rav Kook, I don't see his printed. I spoke to Rav Suriel. I spoke to Rav Avi Nair. And they didn't know that he was a big, he was a big Baal Sadak in a limited way. This I don't know. Once I asked Rav Yisroel, Shiabari, I read all the biographies, and they don't talk about that Rav Kook did tzedakah. And I'll tell you, and they tell the famous story.
It's never pashut that the cook would give the shirt off himself, and somebody would have a shirt. Now the question is,
where do you know this from? You're right. I'm going to bring a makor for this, but I only found one makor, and that's from my own family.
Which is,
I read my uncle's, my grandfather's cousin's book. And he wrote his memoirs of all the people he met, and among the people he met were Rav Kook and his Rebbitzin, the Rebbitzin Kook. And he tells this story that is not known. Schneider, where do you know this? Well, I'll tell you the story my uncle, he writes in his book, Journey, what's it called? Journey of My Life's Journey, something, I don't remember the name exactly. He wrote, and he made 3 trips to Palestine. It was a big ask, and he met everybody, Meir Shapiro, of Kook, and Hovetz Chaim. He met, and he did Davin when the Hovetz Chaim came to Warsaw, Davin in the family shul. The Kitzler, he writes that it was in I think his last trip to Palestine, maybe in 31, 32 or something. The Rebbitzin said, my husband, he gives away everything. People knock on the door, and he gives away everything. What are we going to do? So my uncle, he went to Rav Kook and he explained to him like this. So he made peace. He made sure Rav Kook is written in his autobiography. I could send it to you if you want. So those who know, Rav Avi Nair and Rav Yisroel are probably the 2 biggest buckies in Rav Kook, did not know this. They talked about it. It's great things. But
anybody who understands the psychology of Rav Kook knows that that's who he was.
How do you know it? Where do you know it from? You just with Ruach HaKodesh?
Okay, call it Ruach HaKodesh, call it intuition, whatever you want to call it. The question is this sick or not? Now, according to the Rebbe, it's a sickness, because the Rebbe is very much the person to be careful with his belongings, because if he loses something, that he has to work to get another thing, and it's costing him time.
Torah Samach Tes, you talk about Torah Samach Tes in the first part of the Kutzim Aram?
I don't know if I'm talking about any particular Torah, but from different shifts, the Rebbe's thing is not to be a batlin. It's not a joke. Your life is not a joke. You have to be careful about everything. It's a geshet tzamot. If you make the wrong move, you're going to fall down and break all your bones. There's no such thing. You have to be careful. This is part of your Shemayim, is being careful not to think anything bad, not to hurt anybody, not to hurt yourself. The world is made of glass. It's easily breakable. Like I said something to Princess Gardenberg, maybe I was part of the story. He killed himself. Who knows? People are delicate. Everybody is in a delicate situation. Be careful. Don't say a wrong word that can cost a person his life. You have to be very, very careful. You have to you have to take care of yourself. Life is not a joke. We have to be serious people. Okay, sometimes things happen. Like the merchant, he's traveling in the wagon, the wheel grabs his tzitzis, and his talus is torn in 2. Now, Nasser was not a bottom. He was a very, very careful person. But what happened to him? His talus became buffalo. That's it. We try the best. Schneider tries to keep his balance. I didn't keep my balance. What happened is I take 4 pills every day. One day, I felt under the weather. So besides the 4 pills, I took 2 pills, Ecamol, against Sananut, but it was too much. I stood up from my bed. I became super dizzy, fell down, and broke my foot. Okay? Things happen. We have to be the calm of the Abba and just not shrug it off. Say, I have to try to be careful. I have to we have to be careful, because I wasn't careful. I got divorced twice. I hurt many, many people. This comes from hefkerus. Be careful what you're doing. Be careful that you don't hurt people.
Okay, Yisroel. Hello?
Yes,
I want to make a connection here that even Rav Kaplan said something. Now, we mentioned a few minutes earlier that that yushka, he was good to all the people. He was, he might have given a shirt off his back, as in the words of Rabbi Schneider. But he hated the chachamim. Now, I want to say like this. Rav Kook, we've discovered through my family's memoirs, that he would also, and Schneider's Ruach HaKodesh, that he also understood Rav Kook would give the shirt off his back. But he hated the chachamim. And how do we know this? Because some of the things that Rav Tzvi Yehuda let Professor Schatz photograph a lot of documents. They had a havus every week for maybe 10 years. Professor Rivka Oppenheimer Schatz. And she came every week, and he would let her photograph a lot of the documents. So we know from this, and he wrote about it, Professor Rosenak, or Dr. Rosenak, that he, in his opinion, Rav Yosef Chaim Zonenfeld and Baal Mesiras Nefesh Ayal Noira, they called him a Russian. He was a Russian in his eyes. So I'm going to say, there's a sushtel, there was a connection between Rabbi Kook and Yushka. That they were such good people, but they hated the Chachamim. What's on there?
Well, Kook was such a Kook and Dika Neshama. He had a stomach from here to the end of the world, from Bigleri Ador. He was Mekubal B'chala Adam Kulai.
What was he Mekubal?
He just wouldn't have come to Yerushalayim, just Lahavdil. If Yesh wouldn't have come to Yerushalayim, he could have lived a happy life. But he didn't want to come to Yerushalayim. He came off the boat. He's taking a taxi. The Yafo. He was the love of Yafo. He wanted to go back to Yafo. And the guy says, no, I'll throw myself under the wheels. You have to go to Yerushalayim. They forced him to come to Yerushalayim. It was a great tragedy. Baruch Hashem, he wasn't crucified, but almost. People were throwing dirty water from the toilet on his strimo.
By the way, since you mentioned it, if you read Besheva, the newspaper man, what's his name, Malamed, Eliezer Malamed, the Loblar, he wrote Offer Pumov that it was Rav Amram Blau. Now, this everybody knows. It was not Rav. Every Yerushalmi knows. I know from my next door neighbor, Rav Hanan Cohen Shiabari, the biggest expert in the world. He wrote 2 books on opening bottles on Shabbos, and he's from the Porsche family. There was somebody in the Porsche family that threw the sewage on Rav Kook. Just in case anybody got this far in this. Just to correct. But it wasn't Rav Amram Blau.
Okay, what happened, and we all have to do tshuva. Bible once said, I piss on the Magen Avraham. How can you say the thing?
Well, who said this?
Was it?
Who said this?
He saw Schneider, and somebody, I think from the Borski family, Baruch Hashem, he didn't lift a finger against me, but he pushed me out of the room. Okay, so people do crazy things. How can you say such a thing?
I'm talking about the Magen Avraham.
I was upset with the Magen Avraham for some reason. Or I was upset with all the rabbis for some reason, like Otoish. And people say bad things and do bad things. How many times did I hit my wife? Maybe if I wanted to hit my wife, she wouldn't have had a stroke. It's not a very nice thing to hit your wife. Baruch Hashem, I know you never hit your wife. I know you never hit anybody. In that, Baruch Hashem, you're much better than me. You're not violent at all. You're not so shevsela. But, okay.
I wish you would have told the Dayanim when I was getting divorced.
What is this?
I wish you would have told the Dayanim. That's why I was accused of these things by Otto Geveret.
Okay, anyways, okay. So we have to do tshuva. And tragic things have happened. Like the Rambam says, Yehoshua cannot be Mashiach, but look at how many Jews were killed because of him. It can't be. Mashiach is the person that caused millions of Jews to be killed. That's Mashiach. So
they can say like this also. Rav Kook, correct me if I'm wrong, caused, thousands of all people to go off the derech.
Off the derech, what are you saying? What do you mean?
Off the derech, of Yiddishkeit. The Medina, they're going there. How could they make Medina without a rabbinut? All the Jews would have said, what if I shaded them?
Look, I'll give you two examples. Mashalo Yasser HaTzeichel Yatzeh HaZman. We know the Crusaders, they entered Yerushalayim 900 years ago. They killed every single Muslim and every single Jew. The street ran with blood. And then, 900 years later, General Allenby, he comes to Yerushalayim, he gets off his horse, he doesn't ride his horse into Yerushalayim to have Hachnoah. Look, it took them 900 years to figure out that you enter Yerushalayim, you don't kill all the Arabs and all the Jews. You enter Hachnoah. Now, what was I going to say? I forgot already. But okay, there are examples that you see, like the Rebbe said, the Eibishter tiert der Welt schöner und schöner.
Besser and schöner, no?
Was it?
Besser and schöner. Again, you say schöner and schöner. I say the nusach I heard was better and schöner.
Okay, could be. So the thing is, that's it. We see that tshuva is possible. The Pope, the second thing I want to say, the Pope, he says, after 2,000 years, he finally understands, no, we shouldn't try to convert Jews. Yes, we have to try to convert pagans and primitive people in the Polynesian islands, but not the Jews. Okay, it took them 2,000 years to figure it out. Well, so, Besser und schöner. Baruch Hashem. I don't know if you're allowed to say it. It's a question. The Torah says, Lo Sechone. And that's by a goy. Some goys everywhere. But some say, an Arab, he keeps his religion, so he's considered a Ben Noach. So you can't say Noach Chen. You can't say Divrei Chen on a Ben Noach. So what is Schneider trying to say? 2 years ago, Rosh Hashanah, I was in Neve Simcha. Mordechai Kaplan paid that I should be there for Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah was very nice. But I don't know, I'm here in this place. The whole place is crawling with the Arabs. They're doing everything, changing the people's diapers and bringing the food. And I feel a better atmosphere in Hadar Amal, which is full of Arabs, than I felt in the Neve Simcha, which I don't think has any Arabs. How can it be? It could be, for some reason. It could be the Arabs have a certain thing about them that they're not, when they don't get angry. When they get angry, watch out. But when they're, in a peace mode, they're very likable and quiet and fine people. Okay. Who can understand this world? We can't understand. We have to just try to be good. My daughter Esther, she called me. I've fantasized maybe hundreds of times. Yes, I'm going to get sick. My daughter Esther is going to come to me to the hospital. It could be that since I fantasized it so many times, I caused it to happen and I broke my foot. But that's my fantasy. Esther called me. I hope she'll come to visit me. And it'll be a team of others. So Hashem, Lev Avos, Albanim, Lev Banim, Alevaisam. This goes also as far as Christianity is concerned. Christianity is like the child of Judaism. The Jews will forgive the Christians. The Christians will forgive the Jews. The Shrivi H said, it's terrible that the mean in Chabad? The Rebbe said 7 mitzvahs. Millions of goyim come to the kotel. Are you Jewish? No. Why don't you give him this elka for Ben Noach, water from the Rebbe's mikveh? Why don't they give something to the goyim? No, because they hate goyim. But why do you hate goyim? Why? Can't you forgive them?
Okay, so good. We'll be in touch. Good to, seems like you're in a good mood.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
Okay, sei gesund, bevor Schleimer. What did she came to visit you, Esther?
What is it?
She came to visit you.
No, I'm fantasizing it. She told me I had this fantasy so long it could be I caused myself to break my leg. I just to get Esther to come to visit me. The world was full of craziness. Are you aware of this? The world is full of craziness.
Yeah, I spoke to her a few months ago. I told you about your Shreyer, Rubenstein from Haifa. Yes, we talked about this.
What about him?
So it says that this Rav Shaul Alter, Shiabari, the Rebbe of Panay Menachem, the brother of the Ger Rebbe, it seemed, I was reading about him, his Shreyer was a Rubenstein from Haifa, and your Shreyer was a Rubenstein from Haifa, was a big Oscar in the Aguda, and so was his. So I thought maybe, you're a brother-in-law to the Rav Shaul Alter.
I would have heard of it. I was what is it?
She called your first wife, Esther, I spoke to her, and she denied it.
Don't let her.
First wife. Yabari, she called her Yudim Yabari. Yeah.
All the best.
Be in touch with us.
Pray for Schneider. Go to. Shalom.